question on this show.
And why is that?
What? I like predictions. I think sometimes we're right about predictions. How long do you think we're going to be in Iran for?
Forever.
You think forever in Iran? Like never not in Iran?
Go live.
We are live.
Really? It says now. It says
Yeah,
pre-stream
no,
now.
we're live. Yeah, you're...
Forever. Yeah, why wouldn't we be? Globalism, like, is inevitable, David. I was
I
told it's
guess in this
inevitable.
capacity, I mean, maybe.
I don't think we're going in places to leave them alone after.
You don't believe in the regime change, right? You think we are the regime?
I mean, did Caesar give the Gauls back their land after he conquered them, David? Or did he just make it part of Rome and allow them to still be Gauls or Gaulish?
So you think we got new Iran plans as part of the?
Well,
Is this going to
I'm
be the
not
Board of
saying
Peace?
that we could build 180 luxury suite hotels in a very rapid, short, few windows of time, but I think they're doing it currently in one of these administrations somewhere around the globe. I don't know what the name of the city is, but
I have a couple really interesting clips.
do you
A lot
not?
of them.
Are you? I'm going to ask you the same question, just so that's documented, I guess.
Yeah.
How long do you think we're in Iran?
In like the current capacity, I think what we're currently doing, I don't think
Mhm.
very long. I think we're going to be in there. We're going to be involved with Iran, for quite some time. But to this continuous bombing of Iran, the boots on the ground idea, I don't think it's going to.
I don't necessarily think we'll be in sustained war
Sure,
by that proclamation either.
but we'll certainly be involved in certain ways.
Reconstruction.
No, I think we're just gonna have our influence in the region. I think that's a
Or
pretty
serious
obvious
question:
gap.
what if we don't? What if we don't beat Iran?
I don't even think I consider that.
Well, I mean, Tucker's the one reporting on this. Obviously, a conspiracy theorist. He's saying that we can't. We don't have the munition sources to fight a long-term war with Iran.
I don't think I believe that. I'm
You
pretty
think that's
confident.
the when you're strong, you act weak here?
I don't. I'm fairly confident our military can go toe to toe with any country with. I don't want to say ease.
Do you think a discombobulator and a Jewish space laser certainly help your odds in warfare, David?
I would say so.
I definitely think they burned Hawaii. I honestly thought that was like a joke, and then like I was like, all right, maybe they did. But the more that I really think about it, they definitely scorched Hawaii with a laser beam. Sorry, David. It's a side note.
No, I don't think we would struggle with most nations. Actually, in fact, if I were trying to put together a single nation that I think would be even close, I don't think China. People want to say China just because they're pure size, but like, what kind of experience does China have in this?
I like Russia
Do
over
you think
everybody.
Do you think China's in like a lot of sustained wars? Do you think they got a lot of combat experience? I think
No,
everyone
but
just says China
I
because
think
they're pure size.
well, they do the 300-year war.
I'm saying recently
Well, no, I mean like they plan to take you over in 300 years.
though. Mm.
Like they'll let you have your golden age,
That's the
age
fucking
and era.
long game.
Yeah, they look one eye in the past and one eye in the future, dude.
The reason I ask, we've talked about Iran a few times on this show, and I think for obvious reasons. One thing I think we've been consistent in saying, at least I know I have, and I'm pretty sure you've agreed on this, but I don't think there's any legitimate justification if you're looking at a America first policy. I don't think you can look at the war with Iran and think that was the move made on behalf of America, because like I said, I don't think Iran has any shot against us militarily. I don't think they were any threat to us at all. I mean, I don't know if anyone else had this imminent fear of Iran launching a missile or many missiles at the United States anytime soon. Apparently, this is kind of the picture they're trying to paint, but I don't know if anyone actually believed that. Certainly didn't think they were interested in obtaining a nuclear weapon. If they were interested, they clearly weren't very capable. So trying to sell this as a war on behalf of America in the America First movement to me is going to be tricky because it it doesn't seem logical that this was a move made for America. Now, as time is slowly going on, we're starting to get maybe Trump a little more comfortable. I don't know. Sometimes I feel like when he's maybe not being coached on what to say, or maybe when he's being a little fast and loose, like kind of classic Trump, I think some things come out. And I have a handful of clips here to me that is like every bit of everything we've been saying since realistically the first strikes in Iran last year. But certainly, certainly right now, currently. Um, let's just get flat out, Ryan. Let's just get to some Trump clips because I really sometimes Trump just says it all, and you don't need to say anything else.
This war up this week.
Yeah, sure. Good.
Will we?
I don't think so, but it'll be soon. Won't be long. And we're going to have a much safer world when it's wrapped up. It'll be wrapped up soon. We're going to have a much safer world. I had an obligation to do this. I didn't want to, I call it an excursion. I didn't want to make this journey. We had the highest stock market in history. We had low gas prices. Everything was good. And I know exactly, I know what, you're going to do it. People are going to raise the price of oil, and that's good. But
So why are we doing it then?
But that's a very small thing compared to allowing them to have. You want to see a stock market go down? Start letting them hit you with nukes. Okay. Uh, I think I said it this morning. I think it's a very small price to pay.
I have a serious question. Are we supposed to be scared of nuclear missiles?
I think nuclear weapons is a perfectly reasonable thing to be scared of.
I didn't. Hold on. Let me. There's like a super.
Iran
I'm sorry.
obtaining nukes? Absolutely not.
I'm sorry, David, that since the age of however I was in fifth grade, that the largest terrorist attack in the history of the nation, I was forced to watch on television and be told that they hate us because of our freedom and watch them wage war ever. That now I'm so desensitized that the fact that Iran could have nuclear weapons to blow us up, I could care the fuck less. I don't think we deserve to be there. Anyways, is he really acting and saying that, like, everything was fine? Like, why the fuck would you go in there? And then he said that, "I had to do it anyways to make the world a safer place."
You had to.
Even though the stocks were up, even though gas was up, even
What
though everything
options
was
did he
fine,
have, Ryan?
you had no I don't know if you had to. What was our actual reason for going there? Have we gotten a clear answer yet?
Well, they've been very unclear on their answer. I mean, there's a lot of people who feel like they do have the answer, and they're called conspiracy theorists.
Is
Of
that the
course,
central banking, David?
no, actually, I haven't. Well, I mean, maybe I guess maybe you could tie it to central banking if you really wanted to, but a lot of people have been saying that this war is clearly on behalf of Israel. I mean, that's what it appears to be because you can't convince me of a good case that Iran was a direct threat to America. But you could very easily convince me, because I do believe this to be true, that Iran was absolutely a threat to Israel. I mean that's I think without a doubt. I think Iran could have been a threat to Israel. I don't even know if attacks on Israel were necessarily imminent from Iran, but certainly that's way more plausible, way more reasonable. I could understand that way more than the fact that they were a threat to us. I mean, they're zero threat to the United States. They were none threat. They didn't have long range missiles that could reach the United States. They either weren't interested in or not capable of building a nuclear weapon because clearly for the last 30 years they've been 3 years away. So either they just didn't want to or they can't. So yeah, to try to convince me that they're a threat to the United States directly is ridiculous. And oh, you think the stock market's bad now? Just imagine if they had nukes. Well, for 30 years they were supposed to have nukes, and where are they? Also, 8 months ago you blew up all their nuclear capabilities. So how
Yeah,
are
the
they?
Tom Cruise movie.
But they have nukes again. So I don't know. This is very weapons of mass destruction-y.
They hate us
Trying
because
to
of our freedom.
a little bit, yeah. Hate us because of our freedom. They got weapons of mass destruction.
They hate us because we have electricity.
But I do think Trump slipped a little bit and perhaps gave us a bit of the answer that some of us, you know, have been saying. And of course, we've been getting called conspiracy theorists or Semites or whatever the narratives always are. But here's Trump in his own words.
Zero. We don't need, we don't need oil. We have all the oil we need for ourselves. It's one of the great assets that we have. We have more than double what anybody else in terms of oil production. We're at more than double any other country. So we don't need it, but we did it. It's almost, you could say we did it out of habit, which is not a good thing to do. But we did it because we have some good allies there. We have some great Middle Eastern countries there, Israel there. So we did it for a lot of reasons.
Sounds like one reason, but
It
David,
does sound like he named basically one reason.
we're like openly like these are real. These aren't AI, David.
No, they're not AI. Well, if you want, we can check with AI to see if they're AI.
I mean,
But I'm
I
fairly
trust you,
confident.
David, but these are like from like official
Yeah, these are
sources,
very
David.
recent, in fact.
Because it's just very odd. I don't ever remember them just being so open about just this.
I think it does seem like they always maybe I'm incorrect in this, but it does always seem like throughout at least my entire life, that in times of war or global conflict or whatever you want to call it, they never really seem to be crystal clear. They always seem to have a narrative, um, and the narrative could perhaps make sense. Like the global war on terror that we fought for 20 years, most of my life. Um, there seemed to be a at least somewhat put together narrative on the global war on terror. There were like Ryan kind of indicated to well they just hate us because they're freedom, right? But there was an indication that well all these nations they have radical Islamic leadership. They don't love the Western way of life, so therefore they're a threat to the Western nations, as seen by the actions on 9/11, where a couple of these radical Islamists, hijacked a plane, crashed into our buildings because they hate us because they're freedom. So obviously, our actions in the Middle East were actions of self-defense. And if there were regime changes, it was only to get out the radical Islamic leadership. So like there was a concise, whether it was a lie or not, it's irrelevant in this context, because what I'm saying is there was at least a narrative that kind of made sense. It was easy to sell. I understand what they were going for. This war in Iran is a shit show. There is there. I've heard 4 or 5 different reasons for us being there. None of them really make sense. Um, I just I don't know what they're expecting from us. Like I think Trump is expecting my base is just going to rally behind me, and it is what it is. But I think he's overselling his popularity, quite frankly. Um, we already saw it wasn't particularly popular when they did it 8 months ago. We've now just come off of, or are still in the midst of, this disastrous Epstein blockage. And now we're back in Iran again with no clear messaging. I keep hearing this, and I think this is ironic, but I keep hearing a lot of people say if you're against like certain actions of the Trump administration, then you were never really MAGA. And it's ironic because
I was never really MAGA.
well, think of it this way. We were the ones who were standing on the principles, right? You said no new wars. You get into war. I'm mad because I thought you said no new wars, but I'm anti MAGA because I'm not going with you on this trip to new wars. That doesn't make me anti MAGA. That makes me MAGA. You anti MAGA. You said you were going to release the Epstein files. You don't do it. I call you out on it. Somehow I'm anti MAGA. No, you're anti MAGA. I'm the guy who's MAGA. I'm the one who wants America first. You're the one who is acting in other interests. So the MAGA movement's dead because he killed it and he was the face of it. He was the face of our movement. Let's be clear about what MAGA was.
Trump was the catalyst and the figurehead for something that was already there.
It's our movement. We are MAGA.
Yeah, and
He
I've
put
said this
the
before.
marketing and everything to it.
Yeah, and I've said this before. It rides on the coattails of the Tea Party. This is from the Tea Party through and through. The people that supported people. I can directly tell you the people that currently support, defended, and help Trump get elected and got elected with Trump from now all the way back until his initial inception, and then back until New York in New York State, and the people around here politically. The Tea Party is the direct thing that got MAGA to where it is, and before that was the Ron Paul movement. Libertarianism to some degree with Gary Johnson during 16. But it's just, yeah, Trump was basically just a flag that was invented and flown at, the top of the flagpole for us. And you shit all over it.
The the MAGA movement really does kind of seem like you pointed out some of the libertarianism, but it does seem to be like this mix that I think is a I don't know if comfortable is like a good word, but it's like it's a nice healthy mix of like staunch conservatism from like the old school. Some libertarianism has been influenced in it, right, with the no new wars. And a lot of like the drain the swamp things. That's all rooted in libertarianism.
Getting
And
out
then
of
there's
global contracts and treaties.
yeah, and then there's like well to that too, like the nationalism part of it, which I know it gets this like bad rap. Nationalism always gets this bad like, oh, like Hitler was a nationalist. It's like, yeah, Hitler was a nationalist, and any good leader is also a nationalist, because why would you not govern with the idea of you're putting yourself and your people first? That's, you were elected by people to put your people first. Like that's kind of the whole point. And yet, what always ends up happening inevitably is like they get power and then the powerful put the powerful first. But nationalism really is you putting the country first. And that shouldn't be a dirty word. So, like the when we start talking about mass deportations and closing up the borders, that's strong nationalism. That's old school conservatism, not necessarily libertarianism, right? But you have the mix of no new wars. Now, that's not necessarily really old school conservatism, but that certainly is nationalism and the little mix of libertarianism. But it's all rooted in nationalism. That's why it's America first, right? We're talking about making our country great, right? Make America great again. That was always the
Well,
talking
this is
point,
the
at least.
it's almost the ploy with it, right, David? Because if we go to war and it's a benefit, then aren't we making America great again?
Well,
But
that's how they're trying to twist this, right? Because this is what
yeah.
Trump is saying, right? Well, you think the stock market's bad? How bad would it be if Iran had nukes? That's him trying to twist to this is making America great
Yeah, and they're almost like trauma. They're like,
while they make America less great.
David, some would say this is like political Stockholm syndrome, but I don't know if anybody has ever coined that term before, because it's like he's literally saying, like, look at the stock market. It'd be a shame if it went away. We have to do this or it goes away. It's like, hey, I'll stop paying your phone bill. if you don't suck my dick. Tell me spot the difference.
Well, you are being very nationalist in that scenario, Ryan. You're putting yourself first.
I'm There's a reason I relate it to sex, David, because it's the most primal urge we have, and if it works for sex, it will
Sex and
work in
war, right?
government. Sex to fucking and murder, dude. Cain and Abel. First story is Adam and Eve fuck. The next story is they kill each other. I don't know what you want from me.
I don't know. Did they go that far, Ryan? I know she bit the apple, but
She was told to not bite the apple. I don't know what else.
right.
I blame men.
Yeah,
The
turn
snake's
left.
a man.
Turn left.
Turn left. I'm gonna make
It's
a
the
right.
tale as old as time, Ryan. We all should have seen this coming. Don't bite the apple. Bites the apple. Fucking turn left. Turns right. Crashes. Kills a bunch of people. They just can't listen, Ryan. It's the
Maybe
oldest.
that's the only.
It's the
Maybe it's the
oldest tale.
reason stop signs are red, Davis, because if they weren't the color of the apple, women wouldn't even pay attention to them while they're driving.
I think you're onto something.
Paint everything red. Women will notice. Red and green.
Yeah,
Now that I think about it, red, yellow, green is all apple colors. Unfucking believable, people.
You've cracked it.
I've cracked the algorithm. I figured it out. I told you guys. Well, I did. Indiana Jones, Ryan did. Because, of course, David, the only way to figure out that your character in a universe is to be a different character in a universe.
This is another.
There was something else I want to. Can I touch on something you said
yeah.
about like how MAGA is like this, like a Venn diagram of these other political ideologies? And to go further, this is basically MAGA was the power vacuum. Well, MAGA is the hashtag of the remnants of the power vacuum of what happens when neocon conservatives were caught hijacking our military institutions and bribing governments with big businesses. Right? I mean, am I wrong here? Because like when you think about it, Reaganomics, and then the war on terror. So that's from 80s till now, right? When you're looking at if you really look at like the Republican legacy, at least as far as like the mainstream narrative, Reaganomics was the corporate interest in the intertwining of America, and then the 90s they just fucking raped war and gas, and the 2000s was the war on terror, and now we're here since what 2010 Obama, we're in unstable Middle East from all these wars, right? And yeah, it's basically the power vacuum. This would be the equivalent of like when when you got a country and then you don't take over and then Al Qaeda forms. This just happens to be in America during political things. That's why, I mean, when you think about it, that's why like even when Trump ran, people are like, he's not really a Republican, he's like a Democrat. People are like, well, he was donating to Democrat parties, but if you look at what he's doing, like or things he's done, it's kind of like a blend of things. Right? Like
yeah, to this day, I really don't think. I think Trump is just flat out. He doesn't really view things in these terms.
he's a chameleon. He's a political chameleon. You know, it's like literally what are my interests and how are they aligned with these interests? You know, it's very monetary, which is what you get when you elect a business. Now, I used to want a businessman for politics, but I don't actually know if we should have businessmen for politics. So I think we need great men for politicians, David. Something that somebody else has been talking about on the internet, I think. There's some kind of theory about great men floating around there, David. I have no idea. But yeah, so it's like the political vacuum more than anything. I mean, it was almost to be expected. You know, it's easy to see everything in hindsight and just say this is the pattern that fits the narrative. But I'm sure somebody came along and said this the whole time. I mean, Ted Cruz, that was one thing Ted Cruz got Trump in early was like he's just playing Republican conservative. And, you know, he's a statesman, so how could you take Ted Cruz serious back then? And he also his dad killed JFK, right, Dave?
He did. He had an ugly horse-faced wife,
and he was the Zodiac killer. So many side quests.
He was the Zodiac killer, yeah.
So many side quests that guy did. But yeah, I just think more than anything before we move on, I just think it's worth recognizing once again, Dave and we've talked about this in the past, that Trump isn't MAGA. MAGA existed. It just became MAGA, and he
was the marketer.
he
But they have bad
just
messaging.
caught the trend. He just caught he literally did what everybody says you should make politics a public reality television show. That's what he did, and he called it MAGA because he knew that he could, you know, find a home by taking this gravy of this certain circumstance.
Here's a fun clip. I got Trump was really on one recently. I don't know what this.
Maybe
is
the Coke was really coking, dude.
Yeah, this is what happens when you give him caffeine.
Just caffeine, dude.
It's a place from which they get their energy, and they should come and they should help us protect it. You could make the case that maybe we shouldn't even be there.
It's kind of a hard clip to hear. But he's speaking about Iran, and he's like, "Well, you could make the case we shouldn't even be there." Oh, could you? That's the case we're making currently on this show.
You could make it.
You could.
That's kind of.
I'm actually doing it.
That's why we're asking questions on why you're there.
You could make the case.
We still don't know why we went there.
Well, they're just bad at messaging.
The guy that marketed MAGA and became almost president 3 times.
Yeah, he's just not.
I should run for a third.
Yeah, the idea that they just have bad messaging or bad marketing is like so comical to me.
A billionaire has bad marketing.
The thing that Trump is the best at.
He had all these businesses. Businesses is marketing and branding and just bad at it.
Yeah, he's just not very good at it.
And then he's saying, then the guy who's bad at branding is also saying, well, you can make the case on that. We shouldn't be doing this. And we're
yeah,
like,
we probably shouldn't be.
You're actually like making the case for me. You're actually making me question why are we there even more now?
Oh, he told you. It's because of our friends in the region. Israel specifically, but other ones too. I can't name the other ones, but definitely Israel.
Like New Gaza?
New Gaza, New Rafah. They're going to be good allies to us.
Because we'll just bomb them again and rebuild in 2 years.
Here's an interesting...
Dude, what OSHA violations are they building to fucking build 180 apartment complexes in 3 years? It's just fucking unbelievable.
Trump?
Or do you just start building and then you get so far that you're like, well, we can't stop now?
There's no OSHA in Gaza, clearly. All the buildings were booby-trapped, right?
David, I thought we went there to give them OSHA. I thought that's like the whole point of us bombing every building. That was like the OSHA compliance. It was like...
Ryan. This next clip is so crazy because Trump makes a claim that I've never heard him make before.
Whoa.
And I can't... I mean, I can certainly think of a time Alex Jones did this, but I can't think
You
of a time...
can't find the lie?
No, I just... after I play it, you'll understand what I'm saying here, but I remember Alex Jones doing this. It's a very famous clip. I don't particularly remember Trump in the same way, but here's Trump talking about predicting the Strait of Hormuz.
Just like I knew about the Strait, that it would be a weapon, which I predicted a long time ago, predicted all of this stuff. You guys were very generous in that. I predicted all of it.
Wait, by the way, if you predicted this was going to be a disaster, it's like you went and did it anyway, but also we probably shouldn't be there, and I don't know why we're there. But also,
and you can make the case on why we're...
region. It sounds like this is bad for us, but we're doing it anyway. That's just...
Because the stock market will be low. My retirement.
Yeah, it's just 401k.
If I don't do this, my retirement won't be there.
But that's not even the interesting part of this clip.
But I predicted Osama bin Laden would knock out the World Trade Center. I made that prediction a year before he did it. I said, you better get him. He's a bad guy. I watched him be interviewed one time, and I said, that's a bad guy. You better get him. 1 year before, exactly. I wrote it in a book. You can even check. About a year before the World Trade Center then came down, President Clinton actually had a shot at him, and he didn't take it. Unfortunately, I'm not blaming him for that, but he didn't take it.
Sounds like air.
And he ended up knocking down the World Trade Center, but I predicted that too. I predicted a lot of things.
To be fair, he might have. I just don't ever remember hearing anyone make that claim, including himself, before. So to just like say it into
How come?
just spoke it into existence.
How come this is the first time I'm hearing you predict 9/11?
I feel like you very much can't predict things 24, 25 years after they happen. That's
He
not
literally
prediction.
just fucking. Is he rewriting Alex Jones's history?
I remember I had a show, very popular show. It was a radio show in Austin.
I was on War of Information.
I've never heard anyone say that before, including him. And now I want to see this book that he wrote it in. He said, I wrote it in a book. You can go check if you'd like. Well, what book did you write in it? Well, I'm just supposed to look at every book and hope I find it one day?
You open the
It was
book,
in the
it says,
library.
I
It's in
wrote
the
this.
back.
I wrote this a year before 9/11. You totally could trust me. Signed, Donald John Trump. Definitely not 2026.
Those were just all fun clips, Ryan. But I do feel like for the we could probably have broke this 5-minute clip down that I'm about to play. We probably could have did it for like made it last the whole show. I'm just being honest. And it's a clip that's making its rounds. Tucker Carlson, should I just say he has a claim? Let's just say he has a claim. And I'll let him explain the claim. But Ryan, as always with longer clips, I can pause them. I can pause them whenever you'd like.
So the other day I found out that the CIA is preparing some kind of criminal referral against me, a crime report to the Department of Justice on the basis of a supposed crime I committed. What's that crime? Well, talking to people in Iran before the war. They read my text.
Can you pause it? Can you pause it?
The crime.
Is Tucker Carlson Tom Cruise in Minority Report? They have the same initials.
I
They have the same. They have the same initials.
100% know the plot and the idea of Minority Report. I've never actually seen it.
All right, Minority Report. Pretty sure the main character is a cop. Okay. And there's like a machine that predicts crime and who does it, and it like shows them all the information. Okay. And then the cops go to people's houses and they arrest them and say, hey, you're going to commit this crime. We're arresting you for this. He looks in the machine, sees that he commits a crime. And he's like morally torn because he's like, why the fuck would I commit a crime? I'm a police officer. And the crime he commits, David, is finding out that the machine's a liar and it just sets people up.
That sounds like a good crime.
Well, when the world's upside down, David, but just that's the instant thing I thought about when he said crime report. And then before the war, like they are predating your information. I know this is how all crime technically works, but like we're going to say that something Tucker Carlson said before the war started is causing problems in the war or something. Is that what I'm just guessing? I know I normally do this on the show, but I'm interested. This is a thought crime in real time. So go ahead, David.
Under consideration apparently would be the Foreign Agent Act or something like that, acting as an agent of a foreign power. And I don't expect this to go anywhere. I'm not too worried about an actual criminal case against me for a bunch of reasons. One, I'm not an agent of a foreign power. Unlike a lot of people commenting on U.S. politics and global affairs, I have only one loyalty, and that's the United States, and have never acted against it. Its interests are the only interests I care about because I'm from here and I have a lot of kids. So that's not a concern. I've also never taken money from anybody. Don't need it, don't want it. And that's provable. And moreover, it's my job to talk to everybody all the time and try and figure out what's happening around the world. That's literally what I do for a living. And I'm not going to stop doing that, nor should I don't think. I'm also an American. I can talk to anybody. I have no secrets to divulge. So legally, I think the case is
I think he knows he's
ludicrous,
going
and
to
I
get
doubt it'll
killed.
even become a case. I'm bringing this up for a couple of reasons, though, and they're pretty obvious. One is that countries tend to become more authoritarian in wartime. It's just the nature of war. People are dying. The stakes are high. People's emotions have risen to a very high point, to a crescendo.
You know, he kind of makes a point here that almost makes the case for why you would push for war, right?
To be authoritarian?
Yeah, I
It
mean, if you
allows
want to
you.
be, it kind of
Well,
gives you a
if
little bit of breathing room, right?
David, if you're trying to make
Justify it.
everybody weaponize information against their neighbor and make them wear a fucking diaper on their face, that isn't going to stop them against a thing that was made in the lab. I don't know what is a better way to do that. The fallout of COVID's mental psychosis on society will be studied in the future. You could probably measure it in our genome.
And so there's much less tolerance for any kind of dissent in the homeland. The irony, of course, is the United States fights wars on behalf of freedom, but there's always less of it here in our country during war. So that's a widely recognized phenomenon, and it's likely to happen now too. Another point to make that is worth knowing is that the USIC, the intelligence agency, spy on Americans. Now, you probably knew that, and it's been revealed a lot, including by Julian Assange and Ed Snowden, both of whom are threatened with death for revealing it, but everyone knows. But it's probably a little more widespread than most people understand, and it's outrageous. There's no justification for your government, which you
It's
own,
actually
you're a
illegal
shareholder
or
in it, you
whatever.
pay for it, to be violating your privacy like this. But it happens all the time. And in fact, one of the reasons that CIA or people within CIA, just to be clear, it's a huge, sprawling, disconnected agency. What it does in a specific case doesn't represent what everybody in the building thinks, but there are some people who are mad at me for my views about Israel. And they have some latitude. And one of the reasons they pass on criminal complaints, in effect, to law enforcement is to justify warrants for spying on Americans. So
Is this a little bit of
Like that Russia is interfering in the election of 2016 to wiretap Trump's New York tower, David?
well, this to me, this is like a little bit of like show me. Is it show me the man? I'll show you the crime, or something, right?
Mm.
Was that the phrase? I think I'm close.
Yeah, is that a Stalin line?
Does that not sound like what he's at least describing? And of course, you know, just because he's describing it doesn't mean it's real, Ryan. But does that not
Well,
just
show me the man, show me the crime is Minority Report.
does
Because
that
the
not
theory,
sound what the
the
CIA
theory of Minority Report is they can make anybody do any crime. Because if the crime hasn't even been committed yet, then they can just like say the machine said that you're going to do this. Like that's what Tom Cruise unlocks. Like that's what we're watching. It's crazy because a thought crime is complicated because the thought of a thought crime is complicated in general because most people, back to being individuals, can't think for them fucking selves. So like the few people that actually are thinking for themselves are already feeling crazy. And then the thoughts that I have when I share them, I already get a certain level of social like judgment for it. And then on top of it, some of the thoughts may be considered criminal now because the people I'm trying to converse with to understand the universe and the world and politics and culture are like offended or don't understand or think it's like psychopathic or psychosis or, you know, on drugs or something or meth. It was dad. Dad thought I was on meth. That was the one. So, yeah, it's weird, dude.
that is an absolutely real thing. But the main reason they do it is to leak the existence of the investigation, such as it is, to the media, and then humiliate and terrify the subjects of this op. And that's
Andrew Tate.
Well, you know what is that? That is the court of public
Alex
opinion,
Jones.
right?
Alex Jones.
If you can't take somebody down in a real court, what he's describing will work in the court of public opinion. You can make them criminal without making them criminal.
Michael Jackson.
He might have did that shit, but OJ, Ryan, is a great example. You know, he definitely didn't. Do it.
OJ
He even wrote a
definitely.
book. If
I did it,
right, which
and
tells me
walked
that
you
he
through.
clearly didn't do
He
it.
walked you through literally every inch of what he did.
So obviously,
if he did do it,
Right.
but he didn't do it.
Right. Obviously, he didn't then because it's different. He would have done it differently.
Yeah, America is so whack that we're like, oh, you murdered people? No, he's definitely not guilty. We can't prove that he murdered people, even though we probably know that he did. Well, he can't prove it. And then
The glove
he
clearly
writes a
proved it, right?
book about it, and then we're like, oh, I have to read. Like,
I wrote it
what
in my
he-
book a year before it happened.
Choked on Melania.
This, of course, happened to me repeatedly, many times, including in famously 2021 when I was still at Fox News and trying to set up an interview with Vladimir Putin. And the NSA, I heard from someone there, had grabbed my text messages with an American citizen and had leaked them to news outlets. Those texts were basically my attempts to set up an interview with the foreign head of state, and they leaked them to the New York Times in order to stop the interview, which they successfully did, by the way. And they admitted that they were spying on me. This is not a fantasy. It actually happened.
Can we just talk about how much worse the interview with Putin would have been if he was still at Fox News than the one that he actually had?
We wouldn't have got a history lesson, that's for sure.
Well, how long was that one he did with Putin? Like it was like a
2
solid
hours.
2 hours. That would have been what a 30-minute segment on Fox.
Would have probably been a phone call.
In why did they feel the need to shut that down, Ryan? I think if you watch the 2 hour
Goes against the
we actually
narrative,
did.
David.
Yeah,
Goes
I mean,
against the narrative.
go watch that 2 hour long interview he actually had. I think that'll tell you pretty much everything you need to know. And by the way, we said it the whole time, even when we were watching that interview, because I think we did several clips from that interview. We said on that show too, like, by the way, we're not dismissing Putin as like some, you know, decent, misunderstood guy. I will say he clearly is acting in the interests of his nation first, which is something Trump was supposed to be doing. Unless you think he's acting on behalf of another nation, but it doesn't appear that way to me.
Well, maybe the men in the suits, David, don't get to everybody.
They did it again 2 years later. My second attempt to get a Putin interview, I managed to get it anyway, and they've done it since. And so when you get a call from a reporter who knows the contents of your texts, it's pretty clear something's going on. None of this, in my judgment, as of right now, is a huge threat to me. So I'm not making this video to complain about it or whine or ask you to.
Do you remember when he said recently, when he was talking about being in that Israel airport, and he said the reporter reached out to him and asked and heard that he was detained there, and he's like, how the hell do you know that?
Mm-hmm.
Like it's currently happening, like right now. We're in the midst of it.
Mm-hmm. It's thought crime. It's Minority Report.
It's like Googling Epstein while you're the guard.
Yeah, it's not like that. I mean,
while you're the guard at the cell. You're
who
like,
would do that,
I
David?
wonder how Epstein.
Who would do that after getting $5,000?
It's the weirdest thing. I don't know. I better check in on him on Google as I'm in the same building as him.
Send me money because I'm under attack. I'm saying it because it's true, and you should know what your own government is doing, and you should know what the stakes are. And you should know that a lot of what happens in this country that affects outcomes happens behind the scenes. Some of it is legal, some of it is not, including what I'm describing now. But it has an effect. And the intel agencies, again, not everyone in the intel agencies, because there are decent hardworking Americans who work in the intel agencies are Americans, just like there are decent hardworking Americans who work at the DMV. But there are also people with agendas and grudges and no sense of restraint who are happy to misuse the power they have, granted them by our elaborate secrecy laws, to hurt fellow Americans for ideological reasons. That is entirely real. That's the story of Russiagate. And it's likely that things like that will begin to happen at greater scale now. So you should just know that going forward. Thanks.
Obama had his scandal with going after Christian groups.
Oh, the IRS. Like when the IRS targeted conservatives.
Yes, and
Christian groups.
and it would argue that you could say Trump did that with the Department of Education. You could say that he did that with global government. I mean,
The thing that was interesting about when Barack Obama did that back in the day is they always framed it publicly, and by they I mean like people on the right always framed it like he was attacking conservatives. But what you said was actually more accurate, which was he was attacking Christians.
he's targeting. It wasn't even. It wasn't Christian. It wasn't Republicans or conservative. It was Christians. He called us. He called them bitter clingers to their Bibles and their guns. That's very different than like targeting Republicans. So, I mean, arguably, it's religious prosecution there too, which is also super fucking illegal, but whatever. I don't know. What is there to say about Tucker Carlson other than like, we seen what they did to Alex Jones? They sued him into oblivion. He has to pay the GDP of like India, which has a population of billions of people. And you know, you used to be able to just say follow the money, but now that we know that like the money is just everywhere and money has been bought corruption in all ways, it's like you don't even follow the money anymore. You really have to ask yourself, like, why would somebody get paid to do that? Because money at the end of the day, if $80,000, it's like 80 to 90 grand is the measurable need and the amount of money you need for basic happiness to be fulfilled. And then after that, no amount of money will change your incremental happiness at a measurable enough rate to be chasing more money. So you really gotta kind of love what you do, or you're doing it for some kind of alternate reason other than just like money or thinking you're gonna be happy. So like, why are these people willingly participating in corruption, illegal activity, the slaughter of civilian liberties, and the slowly eroding of like anything that we have? And Tucker can say it's just like you naturally get authoritarian during wartime, but we've always been at war. And back to Dave's point, maybe that's why we're always at war. And then to go to Jordan Peterson's point, maybe the reason we're always at war is because we want to be a Nazi camp concentration guard. Because we actually like to be tyrants. Which would be a postmodernism idea. I don't know if you're there, David. That everything's a power structure and hierarchy, and that the dominant always take from the weak, and it's postmodernism thinking. So there is some of that, but I gotta wonder and I gotta think. I was talking to somebody. I ran into a old coworker of ours, David.
Yeah.
He was with his wife.
Okay.
And prime example, boys. I was a little lit, but I made him feel like he was third wheel with his own wife. Not intentionally, and I wasn't hitting on her. We were just like, we're social people, and who I was with and he are not as social. So like they talked, and then her and I talked. But the point of me saying that is I wasn't trying to make him feel like a third wheel, but that's when we mean you shouldn't go out without your husband. It's even a problem then. Anyways, I had a great time with him, but I was telling them that like if they were to pull up YouTube right now, they wouldn't even be able to find my podcast. And they were just like it goes back to how Tucker said like people don't understand the scope. Do you understand like what you have to do or like what has to be done or what has to happen for you to not be able to find something on the internet? Like you could pull up my arrest record from 2011, 2013. You pull up my arrest record and like my high school graduation photo, but you can't pull up the podcast that I shoot every day.
Well, there's just so many podcasts, right?
David, we've shot 500 of these podcasts.
Yeah, there's
We've done more, Dave.
who-
We've done more podcasts than basically everybody but professional podcasters. I don't know. It's clear people don't understand the depth. The problem also is that since you don't understand the depth, you can't understand the implication in real time. And what you're actually seeing is like literally what the country was founded for, was so that people could practice their faith, speak their mind, and be able to like just exist without having tyrants breathing down your neck all the fucking time. And there's nothing new under the sun. And there's only one way you beat tyrants. So until Nuremberg 2.0, Dave Ryan, December 1773. Catch us on Rumble for the last podcast until Tucker Carlson's off the air. As always, David, I appreciate you most for your time. I'll see everybody later.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Ryan.
Thanks, man.